Ladies and gentle fans of Patriot Nation, I would like to introduce you to quarterback Drake May, wide receiver Jalen Polk, offensive tackle Caden Wallace, guard Layden Robinson, wide receiver Javon Baker, cornerback Marcellus Dial, quarterback Joe Milton, and tight end slash he says defensive back at patriots.com. That's weird. Jaheim Bell. These are your 2024 NFL draft members of the New England Patriots. And today, here on Six Rings and Football Things, we're going to run you through a quick overall final perspective here and what we like to call our Draftermath podcast. After the draft, we get together, we do what everyone else does, provide a little finalysis, maybe some grades and more. And today, a very special guest, the same guy that I used to, for so long, do our Pat show and Facebook Lives with. Of course, he is now in the stead of Andy Hart at Patriots.com and beyond. The one and the only Mr. Pat's Propaganda himself, the hoodie database guy. Mike joins us here in Andy's place on Six Rings and Football Things. Deuce, we've got a lot to look forward to. Obviously, we've got a new quarterback. We were together at the Patriots season ticket member draft party, which I thought you guys looked resplendent. Fred Kirsch was in a tuxedo. Everybody was vibing. You look sharp. Great mood at the stadium that night. We had like 3,000 people there. Food was delicious, by the way. I don't know if you're able to snag yourself a plate of pizza, wings, and tips, but that's just the way I want to eat the rest of my way, all the way to the Viking ship to Valhalla. Got a chance to talk to some fans. We spoke with a lot of former players. I got to meet Rex Burkhead, so bucket list for as a Pats fan. And then we spoke to Drake May, who I continue to say, if you can somehow turn charisma, charm, energy, and raw physical ability into touchdowns and football execution, the Patriots may have gotten themselves a real one in their new QB1 of the future. But let's just go broad view first. We've all had a couple of days to digest the way that the draft board fell to them, according to Elliott Wolf, what their master plan was, what he told us through free agency, and then ultimately what they decided to do at the draft. So give me your, all right, I've had a chance to sit with this new feeling on the Pats draft.
Yeah, I think it all starts with weaponizing the offense, right? I mean, that's what he said at the combine. And I mean, top it off, Drake May. I thought it was a no-brainer. I mean, everybody was all over him. I mean, I like hesitate to take any kind of victory lap on that because I think anyone who knew what they were looking at knew that he should be the guy. And no guarantee that he works out, but man, a lot to like about him. He's got all the tools. Especially if you're a fan of, watching Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, those kind of guys. He's got a ways to go, so we know that. But it'll be exciting just to see him get out here, throw the ball. And like I said, you love the kid. You love how he brought his brothers and his girlfriend from 7th grade. I mean, it's real clear what's important to this kid, and he's very competitive. So I just thought that's, that pick's going to define this draft kind of no matter what, unless somebody else ends up being a superstar. But if he makes it, I think it's a great draft. And then just the two receivers, I was really high on them. I think there's like two kind of like nitpicks of this draft. And one is, I think they wanted to get back up to get a higher receiver. But, to be totally honest, Jalen Polk and Javon Baker were two guys that were on my year 14 of the big board. So we've been doing this for 14 years, trying to find 50 guys that fit. Wow. Both those guys, I loved them. I love the way they play. Would Xavier Legette been a little bit better maybe to get up there? But I fell in love with Jalen Polk the first second I saw him. I just think both those guys are proverbial dogs, Fitzy, as they say. They've got that dog in them.
Mm-hmm. They got there's that meme like, we got the X-rays back. Here's the problem. He's got that dog in him.
They both got it. They're tough football players, I think. And you're always the qualifiers of testing and size and all. I don't think that really matters. I think both those guys can play. So those three are the kind of headline for me. The rest of it, we'll kind of figure out with the offensive lineman and, of course, the tight end and the lone, defensive cornerback, the only defensive player taken. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Marcellus Dial has the distinction of being the only defensive player drafted. Now, both you and I respectively wrote up the UDFA breakdowns for our websites, you for Patriots.com, me for weei.com, and they went more defense heavy. I don't know if any of those guys are going to make the team. Maybe if any of them have any special teams value. The running back looks like he might be fun, but also he's kind of big and slow. You got a bunch of other guys that are being invited for what are those that like sort of like non-UDFA tryouts or just like
Yeah.
rookie camp tryout? There's a bunch of those dudes coming in, but again,
I think you and I could probably jump in there for those too. I mean, it's open to anybody who wants to come.
It pretty much is open to just anybody, but let's focus just on the players selected from rounds 1 through 7. Before we get to the receivers and how we think things may have fallen and why they made the moves they did at the end of the first round, second, third, and fourth. I think day 2 is everyone's least favorite of the 3 days. I think day 3, things turned for the better as well, especially considering what I had hoped for and what your mock draft looked like finally at Patriots.com. But as far as Drake May goes, yes, you're right. The consortium, the Thunder Buddies, as I like to call them, of Mayo and Wolf and Robert Kraft, everybody, this new post-Belichick Patriots regime, everyone is inextricably tied to Drake May. So if Drake May balls out, if Drake May does turn into, part Favre, part Herbert, part Josh Allen, yet is still his own self, can make plays, obviously takes care of the footwork, which I'm so freaking tired of hearing about at this point now, and can just dial in, taking this raw country strong of quarterback and turning it into a more nuanced professional playmaker, then Mayo is going to look like a genius. Elliott Wolf will be given the title of general manager, which I believe he deserves at this point now. Like, I don't know what we're doing. Mass Live reports Monday that the Patriots are still going to meet with a bunch of other higher level executives. I told Elliott Wolf on draft night when he joined us on the season ticket member draft stage, it's like you're calm, your demeanor, like seems like you literally look like you and seem like you've been bred for this. This is what this guy has done his whole life. This is his moment, if you will. And I think he did a bang up job. And they resisted all overtures, Mike, to take 3 first-round picks or move around the first round and try to get another quarterback. And Mayo did tell us interest in both J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix were real. So that wasn't just smokescreen season. But this is their guy. And tell me how you feel about sticking him for as long as he needs to work, spring, summer, and fall, possibly into winter, whether it's on the competitive playing field or not, working with Van Pelt, McAdoo, and McCartney. We don't think they're going to have the splashiest offense, but I like this experienced brain trust working with the kid and kind of getting in there and reprogramming him for the pro game. I think they've seen a lot of football.
They have. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. They've developed quarterbacks before in the past. And, I think everybody's a little bit gun shy about how the positive start Mac Jones had. And look, I mean, Mac looked like he should be in there from the get-go. I mean, that as a rookie, I would really like to see Drake May play this year. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'd be pretty, disappointed if he's got to sit a whole year. I mean, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think anything beyond a full year, you're probably starting to get a little bit into the detrimental territory. Just my opinion. We'll have to see how it looks, and I think the thing that stood out with Mac when he was able to get it was, he just looked comfortable in the pocket. He was getting the ball out quick. He looked like the offense was in time with him. And, you mentioned the footwork stuff. I mean, that's all connected to it. If your footwork's off, the timing of the offense is going to be off too. So, I'd love to see. I mean, supposedly we're going to get a look at the rookies next Saturday. We haven't seen rookie mini camp in many, many years here in Foxborough before I was here or you were here.
Wow.
So that'll be interesting. I'm a little worried that we're going to all overreact and, everyone's going to be blown away by Joe Milton's arm and kind of
he's going to throw an 80-yard touchdown pass to Javon Baker and everyone's just going to lose their mind.
Yeah, we've got a competition.
Same here.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. That's one thing. But I'm excited to see those guys. And yeah, I think the physical talent for Drake May is really what I'm excited to see. And if he's able to kind of look like he can execute the offense in time, then, maybe we'll see him sooner than later.
No one ever said that Mac Jones lacked for competitive want or lacked for intelligence, processing, and proper analysis of the game. The Jim Nagy's and other great minds of the college football world will tell you he's one of the smartest kids around. But the problem was he was so tightly wound, and then he got spun around so much. You're not supposed to give your rookie / early NFL quarterback 4 different coordinators from the college level through his third year. 4 coordinators for one guy. With a grumpy coach, a dysfunctional front office, a lack of weapons, and an offensive line in tatters. That's not the recipe for success. And Elliott Wolf, I bet if you even gave him truth serum, would probably tell you, like, do I think Mac Jones could have played quarterback for us? Maybe, but I think organizationally, so much dirty got done to him that at this point it was best for all parties to wash hands, walk away, casino hands, and best of luck down in Jacksonville. All right, so both of us, your final mock draft, by the way, in case anyone didn't get a chance to read it at Patriots.com. Mike, Evan, and company all did great mocks. But my favorite was your final one, where you had the Patriots taking Drake May, trading up into the late part of the first round to get tackle Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. Pats miss out on him. They're not able to get up into the first round. Kansas City gets Buffalo's favor. Buffalo apparently rebuffed the Patriots a number of times because they didn't want the Pats to get either their receiver, likely Xavier Legette at 32, who went to Carolina. And Dave Canales has been in love with that guy from Jump Street since the combine. They couldn't get their tackle, who you had, but then you at least had them addressing receiver with Javon Baker at 68. They ultimately get him at 110. He's the steal of the draft for me. More on that in a second. But as far as wide receiver at 37, so it seems they passed on my guy Ladd McConkey. Maybe they were going for Legette. Maybe they liked Keon Coleman, who's got fresh coats and loves snacks. So it's going to be hard to root against that kid in Buffalo. He seems like a character and a half. But so they end up settling, if you will, on Polk, who Wolf said they were high on from the get-go, and they liked the way the board fell to them. And then it seems like in day two, they get a right tackle that they hope to maybe turn into a left tackle in Caden Wallace. Penn State people say really good football player, not ready yet to compete with the power rushers and the quicker edges in the NFL. So he may be a bit of a project. But listen, if Mina Kimes tells me Jalen Polk is going to be a stud at the pro level and his RAS score was high, he's a high locker room character dude, and people say he could be a better version of Amari Cooper, what the hell is not to like on a team that desperately lacks a wide receiver 1 to 2?
Wow, that's lofty, but yeah, I think the Broncos traded up for Troy Franklin too, so that's a guy that might have been on their radar.
Steal, by the way, where they got Franklin to go with Bo Nix, that was a steal.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, I joke on the radio, we get so caught up in XYZ 1, 2, 3, and immediately putting these wide receivers into a box and what's their ceiling, and their ceiling is this, and this is their comp, and and so then like immediately you just say, well, that's who he is, and I guess that's okay. He's his own guy. I don't know what he's going to be. XYZ 1, 2, 3. But he can play, man. He can play the game. And I think that's the biggest thing for me when I, look at some of the draft picks that they kind of missed in the past. It's like, these guys don't really fit. Like, N'Keal Harry, it never really made sense to me. A big, receiver who can't really move all that well. And, but this is him and Baker. These are their kind of guys. These are football players. I mean, you just, flip on the tape, as they say, Fitzy. And, you see Polk laying out left and right, making big plays. I know he was kind of buried there in Washington with the two other receivers. But, I mean, when you look at Adunze, he's just an absolute freak. But I think that, Polk really plays the same way. And I really like that play style. And you can see some threads, even though him and Baker, I feel like, can be complementary. They're just tough football players, receivers who are going to, have a wide catch radius, make tough catches. So I'm really excited about those two guys. I felt like almost the first night they took him, I understated how excited I was about Polk. So I know he's got a lot of fans, and he's also, there's some people who say, oh, well, he was really the number 3 receiver at Washington. That's how it goes. But I'm totally in to let him go and see what he can do, because I talked to his high school coach yesterday, writing up a feature on him, and he just said this kid is focused. He told me he just stopped through his hometown on the way home, on the way back here, I guess, and said, look, I'm going to win a Super Bowl. I'm going to make an All-Pro. So he's very confident, and he wants the team to do well. So I'm excited. I'm really excited about Polk. He's probably outside of course, May, my favorite pick.
Wow, Jalen Polk tells his high school coach in a quick visit on the way back to Foxborough after getting drafted by the Patriots, I'm going to make All-Pro. I'm going to win a Super. See,
East Texas, and I gotta say,
I love that though.
It sounds. I call this guy. I mean, he sounds everything like football, like you would have had. Oh yeah, my JP stopped by here, and it's got the Texas twang and everything. So this kid is football through and through. So I'm excited. How
badly have we missed that? How desperately do the Patriots need both? And this is how, and already there were videos of these two guys working out together. We found out Javon Baker. Yeah, they're doing little like, you go this way and I go that way. Javon Baker has worked with Drake May because they both had Alabama ties. Drake May was recruited by Alabama, but ultimately couldn't, pry himself away from where he wanted to be, which is his home in North Carolina. Javon Baker was there for a while, then goes to University of Central Florida. His best season is 2023. He only has 53 catches, but for 1,150 yards and 7 touchdowns, averaging 22 yards a catch. I was in on him for forever because somebody did a 1,000-word tweet ages ago about how this kid was the wide receiver steal of the draft. And while he won't be Puka Nacua, he could be the how the hell did this guy last this long in the draft? Day one stud. And obviously, everyone went crazy with his viral comments on Saturday. Get your popcorn ready. I make people in wheelchairs stand up. I'm sure Stacey James has probably already gotten in his ear and just been like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and maybe not say things like that in the future. That would be great. Thanks. But we have like, there's been no danger, no someone that you have to prep for, no like that to make defensive coordinators sweat, to make other defensive backs worry. Like, and now that you may have two receivers who, stop me if you think I'm out of sorts here, but they were not combine heroes, like, oh my God, there's Xavier Worthy, fastest wide receiver ever. I don't know how good he's going to be on a football field, even with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce around him. But the thing that people keep highlighting that I want Pats fans to understand is that in weaponizing the offense, they got wide receivers whose skill set may complement Drake May's skill set as it develops better, and they have play speed, and their play speed is very fast. And I think that's going to be a massive asset for the offense.
Yeah, I mean, they complement each other really well. But I mean, like I said, they got similar threads. They both kind of play that same little bit of an edge to their game and making tough catches. And, that's just, there's a lot to like. I mean, I don't want to, speculate what this could mean for guys like Juju Smith-Schuster and Tyquan Thornton. But, Thornton kind of what you mentioned, kind of one of those combine guys who had the really fast 40 time. But, when you flip on the tape again, as they say, it doesn't always match up. We haven't seen much from him in 2 years. So really like both those guys. I mean, I think from what you heard from Baker, to me, the first things that came to my mind was boom or bust with him. And hopefully it's a boom, but no question they've added two guys that Drake can work with, that, even Joe Milton can work with. You've got a good rookie group. Jaheim Bell, throw him in there as well. They can start to build that chemistry a little bit. And, like I said, as the season gets going, hopefully it's going to be their time sooner than later.
Yeah. Now, so as we talked about with now the offensive line, like obviously if nobody can block, if no one can open holes for Ramondre, Antonio Gibson, and anyone else who may carry the ball, and if nobody can protect Drake May, Jacoby Brissett, Joe Milton, Bazooka Joe, anybody long enough to let them find the receiver and the plays to open up down the field, then none of this matters worth a toot. Caden Wallace looks like he'll be a little bit of a project. The surprise pick, but it does play in line with something Hart and Keefe and I had talked about at length, both on the radio and here on the Six Rings podcast, was, all right, if you're going to really let Mayo and Wolf and Highsmith and Groh working for them now, not Belichick, revamp this team in the mold and image that they want, then you're going to have to be okay with them not necessarily being married to previous draft picks. So if they decide, like, sorry, Juju Smith-Schuster, we'll pay 80% of your deal and we'll take a future seventh for you to go play some, like in Arizona or go back to Kansas City or the Eagles, whatever, fine, we'll see you later. Tyquan Thornton, no matter how many chin-ups you did this offseason, speaking of footwork, boy, the footwork king would have his work cut out for him with Tyquan Thornton. If they think he can't play and that it's, underwear speed, not play speed, then he's got to go. And Cole Strange potentially as well, who I could see as a possible candidate to get moved on. These are not Elliott Wolf's people. And that's why the selection of Layden Robinson may have been one of the most telling ones in weaponizing the offense. I think they went and found a guard that can just go blast open holes, plays big, strong, and nasty, and fits what they're going to want to do, both in pass pro, but especially in the run game. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, and I'd say, even last year's draft picks, Antonio Mafi, City So, we don't know. I mean, and I think that theme extends over the whole draft. And if there is one big question that remains after this draft, and we knew going in, like everybody said the same thing, right? Quarterback, wide receiver, tackle. You're not going to be able to hit all three perfectly. They hit the quarterback perfectly. I think it was, with the two picks, you probably hit the wide receiver perfectly. But with the, like, as you laid out, there's some questions, is Wallace going to be able to go to the left side, and that was the first thing that everybody's asking. So it's the same question you already have on the roster where you have, Chuks Okorafor, who again, hasn't really played left tackle in the pros. So that question remains. No matter who's going to play left tackle, they're probably going to be somebody who has to win that job and has to kind of come not out of nowhere because we see it coming, but has to come from the right side essentially. So I do think that's a question mark that we have to kind of continue to watch. But it's going to be one big bloodbath competition there, right? On the inside, on the outside. I mean, really, you got David Andrews, you probably have Michael Munyu either at right guard or at right tackle. I still prefer him at right guard. So it'd be great if these guys could, play tackle. But let's see how the competition plays out. I think Scott Peters and the offensive line group, that's gonna be a really interesting position group this summer.
Yeah, Adrian Clem last year, obviously things didn't work out. Questions arose as to the quality of the play on the line. And of course, we talked here on the Six Rings podcast about how our nickname for the battle for right tackle last year was the Hobo Rumble, because they just threw a bunch of names at it. They spent some money and threw a bunch of names, but it didn't seem like there was a concerted effort to really develop somebody. Calvin Anderson, wherefore art thou? Connor McDermott, adios amigo, thanks very much. Scott Peters strikes me as the kind of guy that I'd really be into watching kind of get after it with all these guys and develop the line. So maybe on one who plays right tackle, you could have a great battle in camp between Robinson, Mafi, Jake Andrews, David Andrews, all these guys playing for center, backup center, left guard, right guard. And then the left tackle one will be one to watch as well. But I'm feeling better about it as time moves on. Your tight ends, Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper, maybe Jaheim Bell does compete to make the roster and could be a sneaky playmaker as well that falls late in the rounds. Let's get you out of here on this one, Deuce. Is there for me, it was not being able to get a tackle that you could definitely say end of round one, early round two, like that guy is a left tackle and we're going to get him sink or swim over there as quick as we can. So that one lingering question is my only quibble, if you will, with the first draft of Elliott Wolf and company. Is there one little something you wish they had either done different, addressed, or paid more attention to in the draft?
Yeah, that would be it. I mean, to get a true left tackle, or at least somebody who's long and really athletic, that, so we'll see. I mean, but I think that's the easy one. I think the other, question you could probably ask was just, could they have maybe gotten up and gotten Leggett, or gotten Troy Franklin, or, whoever. But again, personally, I really like those guys. I really want both of those guys. I mean, if you had asked me my 3 favorite receivers in the draft after the first round, they would have been 2 of them. So I don't feel terrible about that. And, I would just say coming down the pike, is the defense going to be able to hold up? Not a lot of depth on the edge. Is there not I would have loved to have maybe a young pass rusher too. I know we're asking for a lot. Geez, I sound like Mel Kiper there for a second. I feel like, but Todd, Fitzy, I'm telling you, they had but overall, I think there's a lot to be excited about, and it's amazing, how quickly things can change. And this is the time of the year you have to be excited about, because look, these guys, we don't know how they're going to turn out, but at least at this point, you can err on the side of, hey, maybe it all works out. Maybe Drake May's great, and these 2 receivers come right in and play, and the kid can play. Wallace can play left tackle, and boom, we're cooking with gas. But I just think, from a week ago where we're standing, the offense and this team has gotten eminently more interesting to watch. Let's watch Joe Milton. Watch out for the lighthouse. I don't want him to put that in danger, but it's just, there's definitely injection of excitement. No one was talking about the team, I think, before the draft. It was all the dynasty and all the other stuff.
Yes.
And now it's like we're refocused on the team, and I think people are excited. So I'm excited too, and can't wait to get out there next week and see these guys.
In our movement, in our hope to try to make things more Pats positive and to get people enthusiastic about more than just 6-12-24 or Lionel Messi coming and hanging 2 goals on the Revs on a Saturday night. I think there was, from the party last week through our discussion here and likely back onto the field next week, when you see these guys and or watching Drake May be the smallest of the 4 May boys, and maybe we've got a new Gronk bus, and there's fun new vibes. There are interesting new dynamics. And I think you'd really just have to still be dug in on the whole, Belichick's not there, therefore I'm going to be pissed about everything Patriots, to not get excited about these guys as well. And yeah, look, I'd give the draft a B+, but what the hell you can fill the oceans with what we don't know and how little our grades matter at this point. So he's Mike Dussault. You can follow him at Mike Dussault. It's Mike Dussault 19 on Twitter, right? Or is it M Dussault?
No, Mike Dussault 19.
Mike Dussault 19, right. You can hear him Tuesday through Thursday, 12 to 2 on Patriots Unfiltered. Read him at patriots.com and beyond. Thanks for filling in for Hart, man. This was a great draft chat. We'll see you down the stadium. We'll talk to you soon. And don't forget, folks, you'll see us, speaking of 6-12-24, a couple guys roaming around for a big TB12 night. We can't wait. Great stuff, Mike. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thanks, Fitzy. Talk to you.
All right, buddy. All right, talk to you later, buddy. This has been the latest 6 Rings in Football Things, the Draftermath episode with Mike Dussault from Patriots.com. Thank you guys for listening and tuning in. Smash that subscribe button. Tell your friends to jump into the best and fastest growing Patriots community around. This has been a presentation of WEEI Odyssey and 2400 Sports. We will talk to you very soon. Good day. God bless. And as always, go Pats.